Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hindu Rashtra. Dear friends and like-minded people, I would like to share a few views with you, which I expect you may you may agree with. If you do, please leave your comments, click the like button. If you don't, please let's have a discussion, perhaps a debate. That would be very interesting to see your comments, to know your opinion about what I am going to narrate to you. After staying in India for about 30 years, in fact exactly 30 years, I have noticed that there are three groups of people who are absolutely violently opposed to anything Hindu at large. Those are missionaries, Islamists and leftists. It originally caused a lot of misunderstanding from my side as to what can possibly bring these three forces together, so different, so historically conflicting between one another. And I probably now have, I thought, a sufficient answer to it. In fact, as I understand, all the three have been globalization projects. Yes, spread over many centuries in time, but one common feature among all the three is that all the three were projects. It is very important to keep in mind one historical fact, that Christianity and Islam never came into existence on their own. They have been created and promoted, historically so, promoted as early medieval globalization projects. Yes, few centuries in between these two, but still, both were projects. First of all, let us answer what is the definition of a project as such. It comes, to the best of my knowledge, from Latin word for projectum, means pre-action. So basically it is a premeditated action. Interestingly, that what is allegedly the word of God was so premeditated. That itself sounds pretty suspicious, doesn't it? So, but anyway, a premeditated action with moreover, with investors. Every project has investors, every project has beneficiaries, every project has management, in fact, a strict pyramidal structure of power between the management. And you can see it in the Christian church, you will see it among the Muslim clergy. So those are the attributes of any project, be it business, be it politics, be it media, be it war can be a project too, be it religion. So these were the projects in a specific field of business. Early medieval globalization projects, both Christianity and Islam. Now let us first answer a simple question: how can these attributes like premeditation, investment, presence of beneficiaries, investors, vested interests, pyramidal structure of management, how these can coexist with spirituality in its true sense? Can spirituality live together dwell together with the project, any project? The answer is very clear to me. I would like to offer you to answer to it yourself. So these projects, like Christianity and Islam, in my understanding, are absolutely incompatible with anything which can be called spiritual or spirituality. An atheist can be spiritual, a Hindu, a Buddhist, a pagan, an agnostic, but certainly A Christian believer, in my understanding, can never be spiritual. A Muslim believer, no way can be truly spiritual in its right sense and definition. So, and if you see in detail communism, when it was evolving into its organization-like structure, you can see communist internationals, like basically, globalized organizations of communists. You can see it, in fact, from the manifesto by Karl Marx and Engels, when they ended it, proletariats of all countries unite. This is the motto. So it is a globalization project. Of course, communism came much later, centuries and centuries and centuries later. It has no spiritual claims, unlike Christianity and Islam. Probably this is the reason why it did not go so deep into deep under our skin, because deep down we crave for some fairy tales to be told to us about life eternal and God and things like that, and immortality of soul, something which communism is completely devoid of. It had only materialistic claims, political claims, and it is 100% godless, atheist ideology, but yet it is a globalization project. Now, all the three are globalization projects spread across different epochs at different times. But this is one common thing among all the three. Now, being globalization forces, they are opposed to the state, they are opposed to a nation state, they are opposed to something which holds the ethnic identity, geographic, linguistic, or whatever, in the form of a statehood. The idea was to give an identity which is above the state, which is above the ethnicity, which is above the geographic location, which is above the language. So hence the idea of Christian brotherhood or Muslim brotherhood is transnational. And it, in fact, sounds very much like proletariats of all the countries unite, as the motto of the red globalists. So this left globalism or red globalism was another globalization project. So all the three, in fact, found stiff opposition in the state. They were originally anti-state from the very beginning, from the very essence of themselves. So they were opposed to the state, they were opposed to the idea of the nation. Nation was supposed to be secondary. So the loyalty to the cult is primary. So similarly, if you ask, say, a Pakistani, any Pakistani, he would say, I'm a Muslim first, Pakistani second. So you can ask a typical Moroccan, he would say, I'm a, say, Sunni Muslim and first, and then I may be a Moroccan or anybody else. So this is identity and loyalty, which is above the nation, loyalty, which is above the country, is the idea of the globalization project offered by the specific religion in the format of a specific cult, with its management, with its clergy, with its pyramidal structure of power. Same as the story with the Christian church. The idea was to give identity above the ethnicity, above the geographic location or languages. So globalization ran at the very core of these two, Christianity and Islam both. Originally, left globalism was a global phenomenon. Now, one interesting historical fact, that the rise of communist movement in India, which happened in the beginning of the 20th century, coincided with the rise of Khilafat movement. In fact, it is also known that some of the Indian Muslims, Khilafati, the ardent supporters of the idea of Caliphate, once they came across the Marxist literature, got converted into supporters of Marxism, into supporters of communism, and started propelling that. In fact, this is pretty interesting how same people often changed green globalism for red globalism, green extremism for red extremism. Another example which comes to my mind is from very recent past, just a matter of few months, maybe a year. There was a guy called Stan Swami, some old guy who died in one of the Indian jails recently. His actual name was Stanislaus Swami. He kept word Swami, master, apparently as a very well premeditated practice by the Christian Church, which is called as inculturation. So keep some of the identity about your name, about your looks, which will not make you appear foreign, which will make you more acceptable by the general public, and then slowly bring in the Christian brainwash with yourself. First get yourself accepted. So hence he remained Swami, master. And Stan is a short form of Stanislaus. Not only was he a convert into Christianity from Hinduism, he was actually a Christian priest, a Christian practicing priest. Now, he got into an Indian jail because of his association with Naxalites. Very important, very, I should say, peculiar. Naxalites are violent Marxists. They are an extremist group of people who follow Marxism as their ideology. And Marxism, mind you, is a 100% godless atheist ideology. What could possibly a Christian priest, practicing Christian priest, a convert, have common with atheists? In fact, the only common thing is anti-state activity. So they apparently both, they saw the state as their enemy. And this much of sympathy from a Christian priest to godless, violent, godless Marxism is difficult to explain otherwise. So I come to the same point. These three forces, missionaries, Islamists, and leftists, they have anti-state, anti-national. And interestingly, I have seen a few footages of gatherings of, those, radical leftist people, intelligentsia, among the, rural, in the rural areas, among the peasants. I have seen disproportionately high number of attendants wearing that typical Muslim skull caps. So again, their sympathy with minority, with particular religious minority, was obvious to me. It was shocking to me. I could not have it unnoticed. So they constituted probably almost a half of attendance. Others may not be wearing those skull caps, but they could still belong to the same minority. Interesting. So again, leftists and Islamists, leftists and missionaries. Now, missionaries and Islamists, what sort of nexus is this? In fact, historically, Christians and Muslims waged wars after wars. against one another, butchered each other in millions. And Marxists persecuted the clergy of Christians and Muslims alike, put them to gulag, to concentration camps, murdered them at large. So basically, historically, these three forces, surprisingly, were supposed to be sworn enemy to one another. But in the Indian circumstances, they join hands. And the only explanation which I can see, and I share with you, is that agenda. Ideologically, they are vastly different. Somebody may be ardent believers in some religious ideas, others may be absolutely godless. But agenda remains common. Agenda is anti-state, anti-national. So I will end my narration here. Dear friends and like-minded people, I would definitely like to know what you think about it. If you disagree with me, please write your comment. Let us have a debate. It's absolutely fine to have differences of opinion. If you agree with me, please also leave a comment and put a like. And once again, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hindu Rashtra.